She came to his Nigerian estate with dust on her feet, bruises on her body, and a fear no one could understand. Ifeoma only wanted kitchen work, one safe room, and a door that locked from the inside. But when the rich estate owner offered her refuge, he had no idea that the quiet girl hiding behind his kitchen walls was carrying a secret powerful enough to destroy one of the most feared men in the region. Ifeoma came to the gate of a Nigerian estate with nothing but a cloth bag, dust on her feet, and a fear so deep that even kindness looked dangerous. The sun was going down when she saw the walls of the Okafor estate beyond the red earth road. Around the compound, palm trees moved in the warm wind. Behind the gate were cassava farms, cocoa trees, plantain groves, goat pens, and workers' quarters roofed with old zinc sheets. To anybody passing from the village, the estate looked like blessing. The main house was painted cream and dark green, with carved doors and a wide veranda where elders could sit. Smoke rose from the outdoor kitchen. Men were returning from the farms as the day closed. Ifeoma stopped near the gate and held her small bag tighter. She was 23, but the road behind her had stolen the softness from her face. Her wrapper was faded, her blouse dusty, and her sandals were almost torn through. Her hair was covered with a brown scarf. She had walked since morning, following directions from a woman who sold roasted plantain near the motor park. They need kitchen help at Okafor Estate, the woman had said. Their main cook is sick. The owner is strict, but he pays fair. Strict. That word had followed Ifeoma like a stone in her shoe. Strict men had rules. Strict men had anger. They could smile in the morning and become monsters by night. But she had no place to return to. Behind her was the palm oil plantation near Onitsha, where workers ate fear with their gari. She could still feel fingers around her wrist. She could still hear the cane striking skin. She could still smell the dark room where they locked people who dared to ask for wages. No, she would not go back. The gatekeeper, an old man with a white beard and a cap tilted over one eye, looked at her from his stool. Yes? Who are you looking for? Ifeoma swallowed. Good evening, sir. Please, I heard there is work here. Kitchen work. The man looked her up and down, not in a cruel way, but enough to make her body tighten. She took one small step back before she could stop herself. He noticed. Wait there. He walked inside the gate. Ifeoma remained outside, feeling the road behind her like a threat. Every sound made her turn. A bicycle passing, a dog barking, a lorry grinding in the distance. Her heart told her that men from Chief Eze's plantation could appear at any moment, drag her by the arm, and call her a thief. After some minutes, another man came out. He was tall, dark-skinned, and broad-shouldered, dressed in a simple white kaftan with red dust on his slippers. Yet, there was something about him that made the workers straighten as he passed. My name is Chukwuemeka Okafor, he said. This is my estate. Pa Sunday said you came for kitchen work. Ifeoma lowered her eyes. Yes, sir. What is your name? Ifeoma. Ifeoma what? Her throat tightened. Names could lead people back to places. Names could become ropes. Ifeoma Nwankwo, she said finally. Who sent you? A woman at the motor park told me. She said your cook is sick. That is true. Mama Uzoamaka has fever. The kitchen girls are managing, but feeding more than 30 people every day is not small work. He paused. Can you cook? Yes, sir. What can you cook? Rice, yam, beans, soups, stew, moi moi, akara. I can bake bread in clay oven too. I can cut, wash, pound, grind, pepper, anything. The answer came quickly. because work was the one place her fear knew how to hide. Have you worked in a big house before? The question stabbed. Ifeoma's fingers tightened around her bag. Yes, sir. Where? She looked at the ground. Near Onitsha. With which family? Silence spread between them. Ifeoma felt the old panic rise in her chest. Questions became walls. Walls became locked doors. Locked doors became screaming. Chukwuemeka seemed to see the change. His voice lowered. You do not have to explain everything at the gate. I only need to know if you can work honestly and if you are not running from the law. I am not a thief, she said too fast. I did not steal anything, I swear. I did not say you stole. Her breathing shook. I am sorry, sir. No need to be sorry for answering. That surprised her enough to make her glance up. His face was serious, but not angry. Come inside, he said. I will take you to the kitchen. Mama Nneka will speak with you. Ifeoma hesitated at the gate. Inside meant safety or trap. Outside meant hunger and the open road. She looked at the long walls, the workers, the sky turning orange. Then she stepped forward. The compound smelled of smoke, palm oil, wet soil and animals. Women spread gari on a mat to dry. They greeted Chukwuemeka with respect, and he answered each by name. That was the first strange thing. He knew their names. He led Ifeoma behind the main house to a large kitchen built with brick walls and a corrugated roof. Pots of stew bubbled over flames. Baskets of onions, crayfish, dried fish, yams and plantains crowded one side of the room. A woman in her late 50s stood beside a table, cutting vegetables with quick, tired hands. I am Mama Nneka, she said. In this kitchen, we wake before cockcrow and sleep after plates stop making noise. If you are lazy, you will suffer. If you are honest, you will eat. Can you manage? Yes, ma. Good. Come and wash your hands. Ifeoma moved quickly to the basin. When she pushed up her sleeves to wash, she forgot the marks on her wrist. Mama Nneka saw them. Purple and yellow bruises circled the skin like the memory of a rope. Some marks were old, some were too new. Ifeoma noticed the woman's eyes and dragged her sleeve down so fast the water splashed. The room became quiet. Chukwuemeka's expression changed, but he said nothing. That silence frightened Ifeoma more than questions. Mama Nneka was the one who broke it. Oga, leave her with me. I will test her hands. Chukwuemeka looked at Ifeoma once, then nodded. She will be paid weekly if she stays. Give her the small room near yours. Food is included. No one in this estate works without eating. No one works without eating. The words sounded impossible. Ifeoma lowered her head. Thank you, sir. If anyone troubles you, tell Mama Nneka or Pa Sunday at the gate. He paused. No one here has the right to touch you. Her eyes rose before she could stop them. He held her gaze only 1 second, then looked away, as if he did not want to make the moment too heavy. When he left, Mama Nneka picked up a bowl of onions and pushed it toward Ifeoma. Sit, peel. Ifeoma obeyed. For a while, they worked in silence. The kitchen filled with the sound of knives against wood, fire cracking, and stew bubbling. The simple rhythm calmed something inside her. Work had always been hard, but here the hardness did not come with insults. Nobody slapped the bowl from her hand. Nobody called her useless. After some time, Mama Nneka spoke without looking up. I will not ask who gave you those marks. Ifeoma's fingers froze around an onion. But I will tell you this. I have seen many women arrive at gates carrying more pain than luggage. Some talk, some do not. Both are allowed. The onion blurred in Ifeoma's eyes. Mama Nneka continued. This place is not heaven. People still quarrel. pots still burn, workers still gossip. But there is one rule Oga Chukwuemeka does not play with. No violence under his roof. If a man raises hand here, he packs his load. Ifeoma wanted to believe her. Belief, however, was not a door she could open quickly. It had been nailed shut by too many nights. "I do not want trouble," she whispered. Trouble does not ask permission before coming, but when it comes, it should meet people who can stand with you. That sentence entered Ifeoma quietly and sat somewhere behind her ribs. They cooked until darkness settled over the estate. Ifeoma moved with skill. When she seasoned the egusi soup and stirred it to a thick, rich shine, Mama Nneka tasted it, clicked her tongue and nodded. "You did not lie. Your hand knows food." For some reason, that small approval nearly broke Ifeoma. She bent over the pot so the steam could hide her eyes. Later, Mama Nneka showed Ifeoma the small room beside her own. It had a narrow bed, a wooden stool, a clay water pot, a small window with a cloth curtain and a latch inside the door. Inside. Ifeoma stared at the latch. Mama Nneka noticed. "You can lock from inside if it helps you sleep." The word struck her so sharply she had to hold the door frame. At Chief Eze's plantation, doors locked from outside. Here, the lock was for her. After Mama Nneka left, Ifeoma placed her small bag on the bed and sat beside it. The room was plain but clean. No chains, no strange footsteps waiting outside, no overseer calling her name in the dark. Through the window, she could hear crickets, distant laughter from the workers' quarters, and someone playing a soft tune on a small radio. Slowly, she opened her bag. Inside were 2 wrappers, 1 blouse, a comb with broken teeth, a small Bible with worn edges, and a folded cloth packet she had not opened since the night she escaped. She touched the packet, then pulled her hand away. Not yet. The woman who had helped her flee, old Auntie Mbeke from the plantation kitchen, had pressed it into her hand with tears in her eyes. "Open it only when you reach where your spirit can rest," Auntie Mbeke had said. Ifeoma did not know if her spirit could rest here. She lifted her sleeve again. The marks looked darker under the lamplight. She touched one bruise and remembered the overseer's voice. "You think you can leave? Your debt belongs to Chief Eze. Your body will pay if your hands cannot." She covered her arm quickly, as if the memory could see her. That night, she lay on the bed with her eyes open. Sleep came close, then ran away each time a sound moved outside. Once, someone laughed near the quarters, and she sat up, heart pounding. Another time, a goat knocked against something behind the kitchen, and she almost hid under the bed. No one came. The door stayed closed. The latch remained under her control. Near midnight, tears began to slide quietly down her face. She did not sob. She had learned long ago that loud crying brought attention, and attention brought danger. But the tears came anyway. She cried for the road, for hunger, for Auntie Mbeke, who had risked her old bones to save her, for the girl she had been before the plantation taught her that survival could become smaller than living. Before dawn, she slept. When the kitchen bell rang in the early morning, Ifeoma woke with a gasp and sat upright. For a few seconds, she did not know where she was. Then the clay pot, the stool, the curtain, the inside latch returned to her mind. Okafor estate, Mama Nneka, kitchen work, safety maybe. She rose quickly, tied her scarf, washed, and hurried to the kitchen. Mama Nneka was lighting the fire. "You are early," the older woman said. "Good. Take that basin and wash the rice." "Yes, ma." The day began. Outside, The estate stretched awake under a pale sky. Workers gathered tools. Pasonde opened the gates. Chukwuemeka walked towards the farm road. For one brief moment, as Ifeoma carried water across the yard, he saw her and gave a small nod. No command, no suspicion, just recognition that she existed. Then she continued to the kitchen, where smoke rose from the fire and Mama Nneka hummed an old Igbo hymn. Ifeoma did not know what the days ahead would bring. She did not know if Chief Eze's men were searching. She did not know whether kindness could remain kind after it had power over her. But she knew one thing. For the first time in many years, she had woken behind a door that locked from the inside. And that was enough to make her whisper, so softly that only the morning fire heard, "God, if this place is not a trap, teach me how to breathe here." The second morning at Okafor Estate began before the bell. Ifeoma woke sitting upright on the narrow bed, one hand on her chest, the other searching for the door latch in the dark. For a few seconds, she did not know where she was. The curtain moved softly, but inside her body, the old plantation had returned. She could still hear boots on hard earth and a man shouting that lazy hands deserved empty stomachs. Then her fingers touched the latch. The door was locked from inside. She closed her eyes and breathed through the shaking. Okafor Estate, Mama Nneka, kitchen work, Pasonde at the gates, Oga Chukwuemeka, who had told her no one here had the right to touch her. By the time Mama Nneka entered the kitchen with a lantern, Ifeoma was already by the clay stove with firewood in her hands. "You again," the older woman said. "Did you sleep at all?" "Yes, ma." "Do not yes ma me with that face. Your eyes look like person who fought masquerade in dream." Ifeoma lowered her head. "I am ready to work." Mama Nneka watched her. Then she pointed at the basin. "Wash rice, slowly. In this kitchen, fast work is good. Fear work is not good. Fear makes salt enter sugar bowl." The sentence almost made Ifeoma smile, but she did not yet know whether laughter was allowed. Outside, the estate woke gently. Nobody kicked doors or cursed mothers. The difference disturbed her because cruelty had rules she knew. By sunrise, beans were boiling with pepper, crayfish and palm oil. Ifeoma moved from table to fire, doing everything before Mama Nneka asked twice. When she cut onions too quickly, the older woman took the knife from her hand and told her she was not being punished, only taught to slow down. When workers arrived for breakfast, Ifeoma moved closer to the wall. At Chief Eze's plantation, mealtime had been another battlefield. Here, Mama Nneka shouted because the men tried to take meat early, but her shouting had warmth inside it. Ifeoma placed plates on the table without raising her eyes. When she served one farmhand, he said, "Thank you, sister." She almost dropped the spoon. Sister, not girl, not property, not debt. Chukwuemeka came near the end of breakfast. He greeted everyone. A man with power who listened was more frightening than a man who shouted. When she cleared plates, Chukwuemeka carried his own to the washing bench. She hurried forward. "I can take it, sir." He paused. "I know you can." Still, she reached for it. Her body moved from old habit. Chukwuemeka placed the plate gently on the bench himself. "Ifeoma," he said quietly, "you do not need to be afraid of a plate in my hand." Her face burned. "I am not afraid," she lied. His eyes softened, but he did not argue. All right. That was worse. He let her keep the lie. After breakfast, Mama Nneka sent her to the storehouse behind the kitchen to bring dried fish. Ifeoma entered quickly, wanting to prove she was useful. The storehouse was cool and dim, smelling of salt, dry pepper, and old wood. Then the smell changed, or maybe memory changed it. The darkness thickened around her. The storehouse at Chief Eze's plantation rose inside her mind. The narrow room where they locked workers who asked for wages. She remembered scratching the door until her nails bled. She remembered the overseer laughing outside. Let hunger teach you obedience. The basket fell. Ifeoma pressed herself against the sacks. The door was open, but her mind could not reach it. Her hands rose to protect her face. "No," she whispered. "Please, I will work. I will work." A voice came from the doorway. "Ifeoma." Chukwuemeka. The sound of a man's voice inside the fear made everything worse. She covered her head. "Please, sir, I did not steal." Chukwuemeka stopped at once. "I will not enter." His feet moved back from the doorway. Light widened. "Mama Nneka," he called. The older woman came quickly. One glance at Ifeoma and her face changed. "Oga, stay there. Do not block the door." "I am outside." Mama Nneka entered slowly and knelt a few steps away. "My child, look at me. It is Mama Nneka. The door is open. See the sunlight? Nobody locked you." Ifeoma's eyes found the doorway. Chukwuemeka had moved aside, leaving a clear path to the yard. That one act reached her before words did. "Breathe," Mama Nneka said. "Slow. In, out." It took time. Shame waited for the fear to reduce, then entered with full force. Ifeoma wiped her face and stood. "I am sorry. I will bring the fish." "You will come out," Mama Nneka said. "But the food has waited for many things in this life. It can wait for dried fish." Outside, Chukwuemeka stood beneath the mango tree, far enough not to trap her. "Do you need the clinic?" "No, sir." "Water?" "No, sir." He nodded. "Then rest near the kitchen door. Mama Nneka, leave the storehouse open today." Ifeoma wanted the ground to swallow her. "Sir, please do not send me away. I can work. It will not happen again." His expression changed. "Who told you panic is an offense?" She had no answer. In this estate, people are corrected for dishonesty, cruelty, or laziness, not for being afraid. The words were too gentle. She bowed her head quickly so he would not see her eyes. For the rest of the day, Mama Nneka kept her close, giving her only open-air tasks. No storehouse, no closed room, no questions. That mercy was difficult to carry. Ifeoma knew how to survive punishment. She did not know how to receive consideration without suspecting a trap. In the afternoon, she heard that Chukwuemeka had dismissed Luka, the farmhand who had cursed her, and lifted his hand when she spilled water the day before. Ifeoma had told nobody, but Chukwuemeka had seen. Fear moved first. If Luka left because of her, he might wait on the road. Workers might hate her, but when she returned to the kitchen, no one accused her. Emeka only shifted a heavy basket from her path and said, "Careful, sister, that one can break too." That evening, Chukwuemeka came to the doorway. He did not enter. Ifeoma was kneading dough while Mama Nneka checked soup outside. "I dismissed Luka because he broke estate rule, not because you complained," he said. "I did not complain. I know. I do not want trouble. Neither do I. That is why trouble must not be allowed to sit down and become family." "Where I worked before," she said before she could stop herself, "trouble owned the house." Chukwuemeka did not move. "I thought so." Her head lifted sharply. "I am not asking," he added. "Then why do you keep standing near things you are not asking?" "Because pretending not to see pain is not kindness. But forcing pain to speak is not kindness either." The kitchen fire cracked between them. "I do not know what kindness is," she whispered. "Then we will not call it anything yet." That answer disarmed her. Mama Nneka returned and pretended not to notice the heavy air. "Oga, if you came to distract my assistant, carry yourself to the veranda." Chukwuemeka smiled faintly and left. Ifeoma watched the doorway longer than necessary. Weeks began to gather. 1 week, then 2, then 3. Ifeoma learned the estate little by little. The market women who brought smoked fish and gossip. The workers who expected jollof rice on Good Fridays. Pa Sunday who carried sweets for children. Obina whose terrible singing made even the horses impatient. And Mama Nneka who insulted everybody and fed them twice. These things entered Ifeoma slowly, against her will. She still checked the latch before sleeping. She still avoided the storehouse unless the door remained open. But she no longer jumped at every laugh. Sometimes, when Mama Nneka spoke, she answered with more than 2 words. One Sunday afternoon, rain left the compound smelling of wet earth. Ifeoma stood behind the kitchen washing bitter leaf when Chukwuemeka came from the farm path, carrying a sack of yams on his shoulder. "Sir, let me call somebody." He dropped the sack near the door. "Why? Are yams royal children that I cannot carry them?" The corner of her mouth moved before she could stop it. "That almost looked like a smile," he said. It was not. "Ah, my mistake." This time, the smile came properly, small and brief, but real. After a while, she told him her mother had taught her bitter leaf soup before dying when Ifeoma was 12. She also admitted that after her father remarried, there was no space for her in the house anymore. Chukwuemeka did not ask for details. He only said, "Some children become strangers in their own homes when the person who loved them leaves." Her hands stilled. That was exactly it. That evening, Mama Nneka found Ifeoma sitting outside her room with the folded cloth packet on her lap. It had waited inside her bag since the night she escaped. "This is from the person who helped you?" Mama Nneka asked. Ifeoma nodded. "Auntie Mbeke." She worked in the plantation kitchen. She hid food for people who were punished. She cleaned wounds when overseers were sleeping. She helped me run. She told me to open this only when I found where my spirit could rest. "And has your spirit rested?" "No." "Has it stopped running?" Ifeoma thought for a long time, sometimes for small moments. That is how rest starts, not like thunder, like small rain. Ifeoma did not open the packet, not that night, but she did not hide it back inside the bag immediately either. The next morning, something happened that frightened her more than the storehouse. She laughed. Obina was leading a stubborn horse across the yard while singing one of his terrible love songs. The horse stopped near the kitchen and refused to move. Obina begged it like a rejected suitor. "My queen, please, do not disgrace me before people." The horse sneezed loudly into his face. Ifeoma laughed before she remembered fear. The sound was small, rough from disuse, and gone almost immediately, but Mama Nneka heard it. Emeka heard it. Pa Sunday heard it from the gate and shouted, "Praise God! The new sister has discovered Obina's foolishness." Everyone laughed then, and for once, Ifeoma did not feel attacked by the noise. One evening, she stood by the well drawing water. Her wrist ached where the old bruise had not fully healed. Chukwuemeka saw from the path. "May I help?" The question mattered. He did not take the rope. He asked. "Yes," she said. He drew the water and set the bucket beside her. "Ifeoma," he said, "I know hiding kept you alive. I am not asking you to stop hiding all at once, but I hope this place can become more than a hiding place for you. What if hiding is all I know how to do? Then we respect the skill that saved you and slowly teach your heart other skills." "I do not know how to trust," she whispered. "Then do not start with trust. Start with noticing. Notice who keeps their word, who steps back when you are afraid, who asks before touching what belongs to you. Let your heart collect evidence slowly." No man had ever explained safety to her without demanding reward for offering it. That night, she sat on her bed with the packet from Auntie Nneka in her hands. She untied the faded thread halfway, then stopped. Her heart was not ready, not yet, but it was no longer completely closed. One day, she whispered. Then she tied the packet back gently, lay down, checked the latch only once, and listened to the estate breathing around her. She was still afraid Chief Eze's men would find her, afraid kindness would reveal a hidden price, afraid that if she began to love this place, losing it would destroy what little remained of her. But beneath all that fear, something fragile had started to grow. Not peace yet, not trust, maybe possibility. And in the darkness of her small room beside the kitchen, Ifeoma understood that the most dangerous thing Okafor Estate had given her was not food, not shelter, not wages, not even protection. It had given her a reason to hope. By the third week, Ifeoma had learned that healing did not arrive like a visitor knocking loudly at the door. It came quietly, hiding inside ordinary things. It came in the smell of akara frying before sunrise, in Mama Nneka's voice, shouting at workers to eat before their strength finished, in Pa Sunday's prayers at the gate, and in Obina singing badly to the horses. And sometimes, healing came in the way Chukwuemeka Okafor stood at the kitchen doorway and asked before entering, "May I come in?" The first time he did it, Ifeoma thought he was mocking her. Powerful men did not ask permission to enter spaces they owned. But he asked again the next day, and the day after that, until her body began to understand what her mind still questioned. A man could have power and still not use it like a weapon. That understanding frightened her more than she expected. Fear was simple. Fear gave instructions. Watch the door. Hide the marks. Speak softly. Walk fast, never sleep too deeply. But safety had no clear instructions. Safety asked her to rest, and rest felt like falling from a high place without knowing who would catch her, so she kept working. "You are enjoying yourself," Mama Nneka said one Friday evening. "I am working, Ma." Work can have enjoyment inside it. It is not sin. Ifeoma looked down. "I forgot." Then remember small. That night, after the compound had settled, Ifeoma sat outside her room with the cloth packet on her lap. The packet from Auntie Nneka, the packet she had carried from the plantation, through bush paths, through motor parks, through hunger and dust, until it arrived with her at Okafor Estate. Open it only when you reach where your spirit can rest. She untied the thread, then tied it again. "You do not have to open it tonight," Mama Nneka said from her doorway. Ifeoma startled. "I thought you were sleeping." "At my age, sleep comes like a stubborn goat. It goes where it likes." Ifeoma touched the packet. "What if it contains something that sends me back?" Mama Nneka came closer and sat beside her. "The woman who gave you that thing, did she help you escape?" Ifeoma nodded. "Then why would her last gift send you back to bondage?" "Because the world is cruel." "Yes," Mama Nneka said, "but not every hand inside the world is cruel." For a long moment, Ifeoma said nothing. Her name was Auntie Nneka. She was not my real auntie. Everybody called her that because she was old and had eyes that saw everything. She worked in the plantation kitchen. Her back was bent, but her mouth was sharp. Even the overseers feared her tongue small. A sad smile touched Ifeoma's face. She hid extra garri for people who were punished. If somebody came back from the field bleeding, she would boil water and pretend it was for soup, but she was cleaning wounds behind the kitchen. Mama Nneka listened without interrupting. One night, Chief Eze came to the kitchen drunk. He said I looked too proud for a girl who owed him money. I told him I did not owe him anything. I had worked for almost 3 years and he never paid me. Her voice shook. He slapped me so hard I fell. Then he told the overseer to lock me in the storehouse until morning. Auntie Nneka begged him. He pushed her. She hit her head on the wall. Mama Nneka inhaled sharply. Later that night, she opened the storehouse door. Blood was dried near her hair. She put this packet in my hand and said, "Run now. If you stay, that man will finish you." I asked her to come with me. She laughed and said her old legs had already made peace with the earth. Tears gathered, but Ifeoma did not wipe them. She saved me. I left her there. "You survived because she wanted you to survive," Mama Nneka said. I abandoned her. "No, you obeyed her sacrifice." The words broke something. Ifeoma covered her mouth, but the sob came through. Mama Nneka only shifted closer until their shoulders touched. The next day, Ifeoma was quieter than usual. Chukwuemeka noticed her swollen eyes from the veranda, but did not ask in front of people. Later, when evening came and the kitchen had emptied, he stood at the doorway. "May I come in?" Mama Nneka looked from him to Ifeoma, then said loudly, "I am going to count onions. If anybody asks, I am counting onions, not giving space to people who need to talk." She disappeared into the store corner, leaving the door open. "You can come in, sir," Ifeoma said. Chukwuemeka entered only a few steps. "Mama Nneka said your heart is heavy. She did not tell me details." "My heart has been heavy for a long time." "I know." "No," she said, surprising herself with the sharpness in her voice. "You do not know. You see fear and you are kind to it, but you do not know what it is to belong to a place where your name is no longer your name, where they call you death, where they count your body like farm tool, where sleep is not rest because any door can open." Chukwuemeka stood still. "You are right," he said. "I do not know." His answer took the strength out of her anger. "I want to know only what you choose to tell me," he continued. "Not because your pain belongs to me, but because if danger follows you here, I must not be blind." Ifeoma looked toward the yard. "His name is Chief Eze Orji. He owns a palm oil plantation outside Onitsha, near the old road to Nnewi. People think he's generous because he gives money at church harvest and sits in front during community meetings. But his plantation is a prison." Chukwuemeka's jaw tightened. "He brings people who have no family, people owing small debts, widows, young boys, girls from villages. He says they can work and pay what they owe. But food becomes debt, room becomes debt, medicine becomes debt. If you work 1 year, you owe more than when you came." "How long were you there?" "Almost 3 years." He closed his eyes briefly. "I tried to leave once," she said. "They caught me before I reached the main road. They tied my hands to a post in the yard. Not for long, just long enough for everybody to learn." Chukwuemeka's hands curled at his sides. Ifeoma saw it and stepped back. He noticed immediately and opened his hands. "Not at you, never at you," she breathed. "I know anger. Even when it is not for me, my body does not know the difference. Then I will be careful with it." No one had ever said that to her before. "Does Chief Eze know where you are?" he asked. "No, I hope not." "Will he look?" "Maybe, not because I matter, because if one person runs and lives, others may believe they can run too. Men like him fear example more than law." For the next few days, life continued, but truth had entered the estate. Pa Sunday watched the road more carefully. Chukwuemeka quietly asked a trader from Onitsha about Chief Eze Orji without mentioning Ifeoma. Mama Nneka made sure Ifeoma was never sent outside the gates alone. No one told her she was being protected like a child. They simply adjusted the world around her so fear did not have to carry everything. Her first wages were written clearly in the estate book and paid into her own hand on Saturday morning. No food debt, no room debt, no strange deduction. When the clerk counted the notes, Ifeoma stared at them as if they had come from another world. Not much money, but hers, truly hers. That evening, she folded the wages into the cloth packet with Auntie Nneka's gift and placed both beneath her mattress. Something in this world could belong to her without being taken. Days later, the packet finally opened. It happened during a quiet night when the moon was high and the estate had fallen asleep. Ifeoma woke from a dream of Auntie Nneka standing in the plantation kitchen, stirring soup and humming. In the dream, the old woman turned and said, "Child, how long will you carry my voice without listening?" Ifeoma opened her eyes with tears on her face. She lit the small lamp, took the packet from under the mattress, and untied it fully before fear could argue. Inside was a small cloth purse, a folded letter, and a thin silver cross on a black thread. Her hands shook as she opened the letter. The handwriting was uneven, but she knew the voice before reading the words. "My daughter Ifeoma, if you are reading this, it means your feet carried you away from that cursed place. I thank God. Do not cry for me too much. I am old. You are young. The future should not be buried because the past has teeth. Inside this purse is small money. It is not enough to make you rich, but it is enough to remind you that you are not empty-handed. The cross belonged to my mother. Wear it when fear tells you that you are alone. Listen to me well. Chief Eze lied to all of you. The debt is false. Nobody can own the body God created. If he comes after you, do not return. Find people with courage. Tell the truth. Shame belongs to the wicked, not to those who survived them. Live, my child. Not only breathe, live." Auntie Nneka Ifeoma pressed the letter to her chest. For a long time, she did not move. Then the sob came from somewhere so deep she could not quiet it. It shook her shoulders, bent her forward, filled the small room with the grief she had carried across miles. She cried for the old woman, for the years stolen, for the girl who had believed she was dead, for every worker still trapped behind palm trees and locked doors. Mama Nneka came first. She found Ifeoma on the floor holding the letter. "I opened it," Ifeoma said through tears. "She told me to leave." Mama Nneka sat on the floor and gathered her slowly, giving her time to refuse. Ifeoma did not refuse. Soon after, there was a knock at the outer kitchen door. Chukwuemeka's voice came, low and careful. "Mama Nneka, is everything all right?" Ifeoma stiffened, then looked at the letter. For one moment, fear tried to close her hand around it. Then Auntie Nneka's words burned in her mind. "Find people with courage. Tell the truth." Mama Nneka called, "Oga, wait!" But Ifeoma wiped her face and stood. "Let him come." Chukwuemeka entered with worry in his eyes and stopped immediately when he saw her tears. "I am sorry," he said. "I should not intrude." "No," Ifeoma whispered. "I want you to hear." She handed him the letter. He did not take it immediately. "Are you sure?" "Yes." He read slowly. By the time he finished, his face had changed. The anger was there, but controlled, held behind respect for her pain. "She was right," he said. "Shame belongs to the wicked." Ifeoma touched the silver cross in her palm. "I do not know how to live." "Then start small." "How small?" "Tomorrow morning, eat breakfast sitting down, not standing near the wall. Keep your wages in a box that locks. Go to the market with Mama Nneka and buy something because you want it, not because you need survival. One day, when you are ready, we will decide what truth must be told beyond this estate. We? If you allow us. She looked at Mama Nneka, then at Chukwuemeka. The room felt different. Not safe like nothing bad could ever happen, but safe like if bad came, she would not face it alone. I am afraid, she said. I know. I may always be afraid. Then courage will have to walk beside fear. A broken laugh escaped Ifeoma through tears. Outside, the night remained dark, but inside the small room, something had opened that could not easily close again. The past was not gone. Chief Eze was still somewhere in the world. Men like him did not disappear because one woman escaped. But Ifeoma held the letter, the cross, and the small purse in her hands, and for the first time since she ran, she understood that survival was not the same as freedom. Survival had brought her to the gates. Freedom was what she would have to learn inside it. And perhaps, with Mama Nneka beside her and Chukwuemeka standing at a distance that respected her fear, she could begin. The morning after Ifeoma opened Aunty Beke's letter, she wore the silver cross beneath her blouse and tried to live. Chukwuemeka had told her to start small, sit down to eat, keep her wages, buy something because she wanted it. But to Ifeoma, each small thing felt like crossing a river with no bridge. Weeks gathered. Harvest preparation began on the Okafor estate. The kitchen became the heart that kept the whole place alive. Ifeoma found rhythm there. She could stir soup, measure rice, and guide the younger girls without fear swallowing her whole. Sometimes, while washing pots, she sang softly. Mama Nneka heard it one evening and stood still behind the stove, eyes shining. She said nothing. If she spoke, Ifeoma might stop. Chukwuemeka came to the kitchen less often now, not because he cared less, but because he understood that safety could not always stand in the doorway like a guard. Still, whenever he came, he asked permission. One evening, Ifeoma sat near the mango tree, peeling oranges for Mama Nneka's cough mixture. Chukwuemeka approached with a ledger in his hand and asked if he could sit. She nodded. I received news from Onitsha, he said. Her fingers stopped. Chief Eze Orji's plantation is still operating. 2 workers escaped last month. 1 was caught and returned. 1 reached a mission house near Oka. The priest is helping him send a complaint, but people are afraid. Chief Eze has friends. He gives donations. He sits with important men. He knows how to make wickedness wear abada. Ifeoma closed her eyes. 1 boy had escaped and 1 had been dragged back. She saw the punishment yard in her mind. He will find out someone is asking questions, she said. Then stop. Chukwuemeka looked at her carefully. Do you want me to stop because it is wise, or because fear is asking you to disappear again? She stood sharply. Fear kept me alive. You have land, name, workers, money, respect. You can afford courage. People like me cannot. One mistake and the world returns us to the people who broke us. Chukwuemeka remained seated, hands open on his knees. You are right, he said. I do not know the cost the way you know it. But if everyone who can afford to speak stays silent, then people who cannot afford it will continue paying with their bodies. And if he comes here, then he will meet us ready. You say us too easily. Maybe because I mean it. She walked away before tears could fall in front of him. That night, the nightmare returned. She dreamed of Chief Eze smiling with cola nut-stained teeth and Aunty Beke calling from the storehouse. But when Ifeoma opened the door, the old woman was gone, and Chukwuemeka was tied to the punishment post instead, bleeding because he had asked too many questions. Before dawn, Ifeoma went to the kitchen and worked until her hands ached. Mama Nneka watched her pound yam with too much force. "Yam is not Chief Eze," the older woman said. Ifeoma stopped. "He is putting himself in danger," she whispered. "Because of me." "No, because wickedness crossed his ear and he refused to pretend deaf." "If they hurt him, it will be my fault." That is how abusers continue ruling even from far. They make you believe every harm is because of you. If they beat you, your fault. If you run, your fault. If somebody helps you, still your fault. My child, when will wicked people carry their own load? The question broke Ifeoma's defenses. She sat on a low stool and covered her face. "I am tired," she whispered. "Tired of being afraid. Tired of hiding. Tired of remembering." But peace was the thing that failed to rest that afternoon. 5 men came to the gate on horseback, and one came on a motorbike that rattled like angry metal. They wore dusty clothes, but their eyes were too sharp for ordinary travelers. The leader had a scar near his mouth and a red cap pulled low. Per Sunday stopped them before the gate. "We need water," the leader said, "and maybe work. We hear Okafor Estate pays well." Per Sunday rested both hands on his walking stick. "Who sent you?" "Road sent us." "Road has no mouth." From the veranda, Chukwuemeka saw them. He came down slowly, with Obina and 2 farm supervisors following at a distance. "Good afternoon," Chukwuemeka said. "You are asking for water?" "And work," the scarred man said. "We are strong hands." "From where?" "Many places." "Which one last?" A pause. "Near Onitsha." Inside the kitchen, Ifeoma was carrying sliced onions when she heard the words, "Near Onitsha." Her body went cold. Mama Nneka noticed immediately. "What is it?" Ifeoma moved to the small window. The tray slipped from her fingers and onions scattered across the floor. She knew one of them. Not the leader, the man behind him, narrow-faced, with a missing tooth and the leather whip coiled at his waist as if it were ordinary clothing. Jude, one of Chief Eze's overseers. Outside, Chukwuemeka's voice remained calm. "At the moment, I am not hiring new hands." The scarred leader looked past him. "Big place like this always needs hands." "Not yours." Jude's eyes began to roam the compound. Ifeoma stepped back from the window, but not fast enough. His gaze caught movement, then his face changed. "That girl." Chukwuemeka turned his head only slightly. "What girl?" Jude laughed. "So she is here. Ifeoma Wanko, Chief Eze's runaway." Mama Nneka pulled Ifeoma behind the kitchen wall. Ifeoma's legs almost failed. "She is not a runaway," Chukwuemeka said. The scarred leader smiled. "You know her story, Oga. That girl belongs to Chief Eze's plantation. She ran with money and property." "That is a lie," Ifeoma whispered. Mama Nneka held her. "I know." Chukwuemeka's voice lowered. "No human being belongs to a plantation." Jude spat on the ground. "She signed debt. Her father's people collected advance. She must pay with work." "Bring the paper." The men exchanged glances. Chukwuemeka took one step closer to the gate. "You say she signed. Bring the paper." "It is with Chief." "Then tell Chief to bring it to a magistrate. My gate is not a court." The scarred man's jaw hardened. "You are making mistake. Chief Eze is not small man. Neither am I." Workers had started gathering silently around the yard. Farmhands came with cutlasses still in hand. Women from the Gari shed stood near the drying mats. Obina held a wooden pole. Per Sunday stood at the gates like an old Iroko tree. Jude raised his voice. "Ifeoma, come out. You think hiding in another man's compound will save you?" Chief said if we find you, we should bring you back, rope or no rope. Inside, Ifeoma shook so violently, Mama Nneka tightened her grip. Outside, Chukwuemeka's calm turned hard. If you call her name one more time like you own it, you will leave this place with fewer teeth. The scarred leader laughed, but his eyes measured the workers. The estate was not afraid enough. We only came for water, he said. You will get none, Chukwuemeka replied. Leave. Denying travelers water is not good custom. Threatening women at my gates is worse custom. The men mounted slowly. Jude did not stop staring toward the kitchen. This is not finished, he shouted. Chief Eze will hear. Good, Chukwuemeka said. Tell him I am waiting. The horses turned and the motorbike coughed to life. Dust rose behind them as they left the road. Only when they disappeared beyond the bend did Ifeoma collapse. Mama Nneka caught her before she hit the ground. Chukwuemeka reached the kitchen in moments but stopped at the door. May I enter? The question, even then, cut through the panic like a thin line of light. Mama Nneka looked at Ifeoma. Somehow, through terror, she nodded. Chukwuemeka entered and knelt at a distance. They are gone, he said. They saw me, Ifeoma whispered. They will come back. Chief Eze will say I stole. He will say I owe. He will come with police. Then we gather truth before he gathers lies. I cannot face him. You do not have to face him today. But one day. Chukwuemeka did not lie. Yes, maybe one day. I should leave tonight, she whispered. If I go before they return, they will not trouble your estates. Mama Nneka snapped. Will you keep running until your legs enter ocean? The older woman softened but did not retreat. Running saved you once, but now running will help them. They want you alone on the road. They will hurt all of you because of me. Chukwuemeka's voice was steady. If they hurt anyone, it will be because of their wickedness, not because of your existence. In my world, anyone who stands near me suffers. Then your world was built by liars. Silence filled the kitchen. That night, the estate changed. Chukwuemeka called every worker to the open yard. Lanterns burned around the compound. Ifeoma stood inside the kitchen with Mama Nneka, listening through the door. Men came today claiming one of our people as property, Chukwuemeka said. Okafor Estate does not return any woman, man, or child to bondage. If anyone comes with threats, call me, Pa Sunday, or the supervisors. No one opens the gate without instruction. No one walks alone beyond the compound until this matter is handled. Someone asked, Oga, is there danger? Yes, he answered, but fear does not make us surrender innocent people. Then Pa Sunday raised his old voice. Any man who comes to carry our kitchen sister will meet old bones at the gates first. Laughter and agreement followed. Not loud celebration, but solidarity. Real, rough, human. Ifeoma covered her mouth as tears slid down her face. Our kitchen sister. Not run away. Not death. Not trouble. Sister. Later, Chukwuemeka sent riders toward Oka for witnesses and a letter to a lawyer in Enugu. He ordered Pa Sunday to record the names and faces of the men who came. The estate prepared, not for war of guns, but for the kind of struggle where truth must be protected before lies arrive dressed as authority. Near midnight, Ifeoma sat in her room with Auntie Mbeke's letter open on her lap. The silver cross lay in her palm. Her small room, once only shelter, now felt like the center of a storm. A soft knock came. Mama Nneka entered with warm tea. Drink. Ifeoma took the cup. I brought trouble to this place. No, trouble followed you because it lost property it never owned. I am afraid he will win. He may try. What if truth is not enough? Then we add witness. If witness is not enough, we add persistence. If persistence is not enough, we add stubborn Igbo women shouting until heaven itself gets headache. Despite the fear, Ifeoma gave a broken laugh. After Mama Nneka left, Ifeoma remained awake until dawn. At first light, she stepped outside wearing the blue wrapper she had bought with her wages. Her hands trembled, but she tied Auntie Mbeke's cross where it could be seen. Chukwuemeka was in the yard, speaking with Pa Sunday. When he saw her, he stopped. Ifeoma walked toward him slowly. Every step felt like disobedience against the old plantation voice that told her to hide. I do not want to run, she said. Chukwuemeka's eyes softened. I am still afraid. If Chief Eze comes, I may shake, I may cry, I may forget words, I may want to hide behind Mama Nneka. That is allowed, but I will not leave tonight. That is enough for today. She touched the cross at her neck. Auntie Mbeke said shame belongs to the wicked, not to those who survive them. She was right. Ifeoma looked toward the gate where Pa Sunday stood like a guard between her and the road. Then let him come with his lies, she said, though her voice shook. This time, I will not face him alone. And somewhere far down the red earth road, dust still hung in the air where Chief Eze's men had passed, carrying news that the woman they thought was prey had found a place willing to become shield. For 2 days after Chief Eze's men came to the gate, Okafor estate lived with its ears open. Roosters still crowed, pots still knocked, and women still spread cassava flakes under the sun. But beneath every ordinary sound, there was waiting. Pa Sunday no longer sat lazily at the gate. The guards checked the fence before dawn. Chukwuemeka sent letters to Oko, Enugu. Names were written. The estate was preparing not only for danger, but for truth. Ifeoma hated that she had changed the place. She repeated Chukwuemeka's words while cutting vegetables and washing rice. Wickedness brought danger, not our existence. Still, guilt sat like a stone. On the third evening, she found Chukwuemeka near the stables. I should go to the magistrate first, she said. Chukwuemeka turned slowly. You? Yes, before Chief Eze comes with lies. You said we gather truth before he gathers lies. Are you ready? No, but if I wait until fear leaves, I will wait until I die. Something moved in his eyes, careful respect. We leave at first light, he said. That night, Mama Nneka packed food as if Ifeoma was going to war, then pressed a small bottle of anointing oil into her palm. If courage starts shaking, rub small on your wrist. Ifeoma almost laughed, then saw tears in the older woman's eyes. She hugged Mama Nneka before thinking. The older woman stiffened from surprise, then held her with both arms. At dawn, Chukwuemeka brought the motor car to the front of the house. 2 estate supervisors came as witnesses. Mama Nneka insisted on coming, tying her wrapper tight like a woman ready to quarrel with the whole world. The journey to town took nearly 3 hours. Ifeoma sat in the back with Auntie Mbeke's letter in her hands. Every time they passed a group of men, her body prepared to run. Chukwuemeka did not tell her to calm down. He only drove steadily. The magistrate's office stood near the market square, an old white building with cracked walls. Magistrate Balogun sat behind a desk covered with files, a woman with sharp eyes and no patience for decorated lies. I want to hear from the young woman first, she said. Ifeoma's mouth went dry. Mama Nneka's knee pressed lightly against hers. My name is Ifeoma Nwankwo, she began. I worked at Chief Eze Orji's palm oil plantation near Onitsha for almost 3 years. Her voice shook badly, but it did not stop. She told of the false debt, the wages never paid, the food and sleeping space counted as debt, workers locked in the storehouse, beatings under the sun, the punishment post, and the night Auntie Mbeke helped her run. When Magistrate Balogun asked to see the marks, Ifeoma froze. Chukwuemeka looked away first. Mama Nneka helped her lift her sleeve and loosen the back of her blouse, enough for the magistrate to see the scars across her shoulder. Magistrate Balogun's face hardened. Who did this? Jude, one of his overseers. Sometimes Chief Eze ordered. Then Chukwuemeka described the men who came to the gate, their threats, their claim that Ifeoma belonged to the plantation, and Jude's words about rope. The supervisors gave their accounts. Mama Nneka described the bruises, the panic, and the letter. Magistrate Balogun read Auntie Mbeke's letter and returned it with both hands. This alone will not convict a man, she said, but it carries weight. Ifeoma swallowed. Will you arrest him? I will open a formal inquiry. I will notify the police command and request statements from other former workers. If any officer comes claiming to carry you back, demand a signed warrant and send word to this office. He has friends, Ifeoma whispered. So do many wicked men. That is why paper must be stronger than gossip. She stamped a document and handed a copy to Chukwuemeka. This acknowledges Miss Wanko's formal complaints and protection pending investigation. Keep it with you. For the first time that day, Ifeoma breathed fully. They were halfway back to the estate when they saw smoke. At first, it was only a grey thread beyond the palm line. Then the road curved and smoke became black, thick and angry, pushing into the sky from the estate. By the time they reached the gate, chaos had swallowed the compound. The old yam barn was burning. Workers formed a bucket line in the rain. Women carried children toward the main house. Pasonde was on the ground near the gate, bleeding from his forehead. Ifeoma ran to him. Pa! The old man gripped her hand. They came from the back. Fire first, then men. Two ran toward the kitchen. Jude was with them. The world became one sound in Ifeoma's ears. Jude. Chukwuemeka turned to her. Stay with Mama Nneka. No. Ifeoma, no. They came for me. I am tired of hiding while others bleed. Mama Nneka grabbed her shoulders. You will not run into men with weapons. But Ifeoma was already moving. The kitchen door was half open. Smoke drifted across the yard. Inside, Ada, one of the younger kitchen girls, was crouched under the table, crying. They went through the back, Ada sobbed. They thought you were here. Before Chukwuemeka could enter, a crash came from the pantry. Then Jude's voice came from inside. Come out, rats. Chief said bring you alive, but he did not say unmarked. Chukwuemeka moved first, but another man burst from behind the door with a cutlass. Obinna struck him from the side with a wooden pole. Chukwuemeka twisted the attacker's wrist until the cutlass fell. Then Jude appeared. For 1 second, Ifeoma was back at the plantation. Jude with the whip, laughing near the punishment post, calling her death. He saw her and smiled. There you are. Chukwuemeka stepped between them. Jude raised a pistol. Everything stopped. Move, Jude said. Chief Eze wants his property. Chukwuemeka did not move. She is not property. Jude cocked the pistol, then die for another man's worker. Ifeoma felt something inside her split open. Not courage exactly, something older, refusal. No. Her voice was not loud, but everyone heard it. She stepped beside Chukwuemeka, not behind him. Jude's eyes narrowed. You think this estate has made you brave? No, Ifeoma said. It reminded me I was human before you people made me forget. His face twisted. The pistol turned toward her. Chukwuemeka moved. Jude fired. The shot cracked through the kitchen. For one terrible moment, Ifeoma thought she had been hit. Then she saw Chukwuemeka stagger, blood spreading across his upper arm where the bullet had torn through cloth and flesh. Rage swallowed her fear. Jude lunged forward, but Ifeoma grabbed the pot of boiling pepper water from the stove and threw it. It splashed across Jude's chest and face. He screamed, dropping the pistol. Obinna kicked it away. Chukwuemeka, wounded but standing, drove his shoulder into Jude and slammed him against the wall. Workers flooded the kitchen. The fight ended quickly. Jude was tied with rope from the yam shed, cursing through pain. The other attackers were dragged into the yard. Outside, the fire was almost under control, but Chukwuemeka's blood kept falling. Ifeoma saw it and the rage vanished. "You are bleeding." "It is the arm," he said, as if arms were spare parts. "Sit down." "Ifeoma, sit down." The command shocked even her. Chukwuemeka obeyed. Mama Nneka ran for clean cloth and hot water. Ifeoma pressed the cloth to his wound with both hands. "You should have moved," she said. "No, he could have killed you. He could have killed you." Tears blurred her vision. "I am not worth your life." Chukwuemeka's good hand covered hers lightly, then stopped, asking without words. She did not pull away. "You do not decide your worth by the price wicked men put on you," he said through pain. The mission doctor arrived within the hour. The bullet had passed through without breaking bone. Dangerous, but survivable. Chukwuemeka was ordered to rest. He refused until Magistrate Balogun arrived before dusk. When she saw the burnt barn, the tied men, the wounded estate owner, and Ifeoma standing with blood on her wrapper, her face became colder than rainwater. Jude tried to speak first. "Madam, they attacked us. We only came to retrieve." "Silence," Magistrate Balogun said. The police collected the pistol, recorded the fire damage, and took statements. Jude and the others were placed in the police truck. As they dragged Jude past her, he spat near her feet. "This is not over." Ifeoma looked at him. Her hands were shaking, but her eyes did not lower. "For you," she said, "it is beginning." Before leaving, Magistrate Balogun turned to Ifeoma. "This attack changes everything. Attempted abduction, arson, firearm, assault. Chief Eze cannot hide behind church donations now. Will he be arrested? By tomorrow morning, if he is wise enough to stay in one place." That night, the estate did not sleep. The burnt barn smoked under the rain. Pa Sunday's head was bandaged. Ada stayed beside Mama Nneka. Obinna told everyone he had defeated 2 men with only a pole, and nobody corrected him because they needed laughter. Chukwuemeka lay in the main house with his arm wrapped. The doctor had warned him not to move. He moved anyway when he heard Ifeoma crying outside the veranda. She stood in the shadows, tried to keep the sound inside, but failing. The day had held her upright. Night came to collect its debt. "Ifeoma," he called softly. She wiped her face. "You should be resting." "So should you." She came closer, but stayed near the steps. "This happened because of me." "No. Your barn burned. Pa Sunday bled. Ada hid under a table. You were shot. Because criminals chose violence. Because I came here. Because you escaped slavery." The word stood between them. Slavery. No one had called it that before, but slavery was the truth wearing its real name. Ifeoma covered her mouth. Chukwuemeka sat forward, despite the pain. If a house catches fire because a woman runs inside with chains still on her feet, the shame is on the chain maker, not the woman. She cried harder then. I do not know how to live with people suffering for me. Then live in a way that makes their suffering meaningful. Stand, speak, heal, help the next person who comes running. What if I break? Then we gather the pieces without calling you weak. The estate was wounded but not defeated. Ifeoma stepped closer. May I sit? Yes. She sat beside him on the bench, careful not to touch his injured arm. When Jude pointed the gun, she whispered, I thought my fear would kill me before his bullet did. But you spoke. I was shaking. Your voice still came. She looked toward the dark yard where smoke still lifted from the burnt barn. Auntie Nneka told me to live. I thought living meant finding a room where nobody could lock me from outside. But maybe it also means refusing to let men like Chief Eze decide the size of my life. Chukwuemeka turned to her. Yes. She touched the silver cross at her neck. Tomorrow, when they question Chief Eze, I will go. No one will force you. I know. She breathed deeply. That is why I can choose. For the first time since she arrived at Okafor Estate, Ifeoma reached out first. Her fingers found Chukwuemeka's uninjured hand and held it lightly, testing whether comfort could exist without danger. He did not close his hand around hers too quickly. He let her decide the pressure. After a while, her grip strengthened. The fire had destroyed a barn. A bullet had torn flesh. Fear had returned with the face of the past. But beneath the rain-washed night, something stronger than fear had risen in Ifeoma, wounded yet awake. Not only the will to survive, the will to testify, the will to live in the open. And as dawn waited beyond the dark palms, Chief Eze Orji did not yet know that the woman he had called death would soon become the voice that began the end of his empire. Dawn came over Okafor Estate with smoke still sleeping above the burnt barn and red mud clinging to the feet of men who had fought through the night. Ifeoma did not sleep. She sat beside the kitchen door with Auntie Nneka's letter folded in her lap and the silver cross resting against her chest. The estate moved around her in tired silence. Sunday sat by the gate with a bandage around his head. Ada washed bowls with swollen eyes. Chukwuemeka rested in the main house with his arm bandaged, though everybody knew Mama Nneka had threatened to sit on him if he stood too quickly. The police returned before the sun climbed high. Magistrate Balogun came with them. Behind the officers came a young man with hollow cheeks and a scar across his chin. Ifeoma stood before anyone called her. Samuel, she whispered. The young man looked at her and his face crumpled. Ifeoma. He had walked beside her at Chief Eze's plantation, hauling palm fruit until his shoulders bled. She had once shared garri with him after he fainted in the sun. She had thought he was dead. You escaped, she said. After you ran, people began to talk. Auntie Nneka's death changed something. We were still afraid, but fear had crack inside it. 2 of us ran. I reached Oko. The priest took me in. Magistrate Balogun opened her folder. Chief Eze has been summoned. He sent word that he is a respected man and will not answer foolish accusations from runaway laborers. Mama Nneka laughed without joy. Respectable goats still eat yam when nobody is looking. The magistrate's mouth twitched. Then I sent officers with a warrant. Ifeoma's hands turned cold. Is he arrested? By evening, he will either be in custody or a declared fugitive. Samuel has agreed to testify. Others are coming. Others. The word shook Ifeoma more than the gunshot had. For years, she had believed suffering swallowed people one by one. Now she saw that voices could also gather. Chukwuemeka came out despite the doctor's warning, his arm in a sling. "I am going with you," he told Ifeoma. "No," she said. "You were shot yesterday. Sit down before your arm opens again." The yard went quiet. "You are giving me orders now?" "I am giving sense where sense is missing." Mama Nneka clapped once. "My daughter has spoken." But when the motor car was prepared, Chukwuemeka still came after the doctor checked the wound and tied it again. Mama Nneka came too. Samuel sat behind them, holding his cap in both hands. The town was already restless when they arrived. News had run faster than the motor car. People stood near the magistrate's building, whispering. Chief Eze Orji wore generosity like Agbada, and for years it had hidden the cruelty underneath. Inside the office, Ifeoma waited on a wooden bench. Her palms sweated. Auntie Becca's letter lay inside her blouse, close to her heart. Mama Nneka held Ifeoma's hand openly, as if daring anyone to call it weakness. Then the door opened. Chief Eze entered with 2 lawyers, 1 priest, and the smell of expensive perfume. He was shorter than Ifeoma remembered. That was the first shock. In her nightmares, he filled doorways and blocked light. In the magistrate's office, he looked like a man whose power came from everyone agreeing to fear him. His cap sat proudly on his head. Gold rings shone on his fingers. His eyes found Ifeoma. He smiled. "My daughter," he said softly. "So this is where you have been hiding." The old Ifeoma would have lowered her head. This one did not. "I am not your daughter." A murmur passed through the room. Chief Eze's smile thinned. "Trauma has confused her. I took this girl in when she had nothing, fed her, gave her work. Now she joins enemies to destroy my name." Magistrate Balogun sat behind her desk. "You will speak when asked. This inquiry concerns forced labor, assault, unlawful detention, unpaid wages, abduction, arson, and armed attack connected to your men. My men acted without my permission. One officer placed Jude's statement on the table. Jude says otherwise." Chief Eze's face hardened for 1 second, then recovered. "Jude is a desperate man trying to save himself." Magistrate Balogun looked at Ifeoma. "Miss Wanko, speak." The room became too bright. Every eye turned to her. For a moment, words fled. She saw Chief Eze's yard, the punishment post, and Timbeke on the floor with blood near her hair. Chukwuemeka did not touch her. He only stood close enough for her to know he was there, far enough for her to stand by herself. Ifeoma took the cross in her fingers. "My name is Ifeoma Wanko," she said. "I was not rescued by Chief Eze. I was trapped by him." Once she began, the truth came like rain after a long, dry season. She told them everything. The false wages, the food turned into debt, the soap turned into debt, the sickness turned into debt, the storehouse, the post, the cane, the women who worked with fever, and the boys beaten for slowing down. When her voice broke, Samuel continued. Then Ngozi spoke of losing 2 teeth at the plantation. Bala spoke of his brother, who died after being denied medicine. But they spoke. Chief Eze's lawyers objected again and again. Magistrate Balogun allowed no games. Then came the estate records seized that morning from Chief Eze's office. Ledgers with false debts written in careful ink. Names repeated month after month. Deductions for food, shelter, medicine, and punishment. The magistrate held up one page. "According to this book, Miss Wanko owed your plantation more after 3 years than on the day she arrived." The officer placed photographs of the storehouse and punishment post on the desk. "We found locked rooms, ropes, blood-stained wood, and workers hiding in the bush behind the mill. For the first time, Chief Eze stopped smiling. He looked at Ifeoma and the mask slipped. Hatred came through. "You ungrateful girl," he hissed. "You think these people love you? You think this man will marry damaged goods?" The room went silent. Before Chukwuemeka could move, Ifeoma stood. The old fear rose like flood water, but above it, Aunty Mbeke's words stood stronger. "Shame belongs to the wicked. I may be damaged in places," Ifeoma said, voice trembling but clear, "but I am not goods. I was never goods. Not yours, not any man's." Chief Eze opened his mouth, but Magistrate Balogun struck the desk. "Enough." By evening, Chief Eze was taken into custody, pending trial. His plantation was sealed. Workers found there were removed under protection. Jude's attack tied the old crimes to new violence. When officers led Chief Eze out, he passed close to Ifeoma. His voice dropped to a whisper only she could hear. "You will regret this." Ifeoma looked at him, and something inside her finally understood that threats were not power unless fear obeyed. "No," she said, "I will heal from this." He was pulled away. Outside, rain began to fall. People scattered toward awnings, but Ifeoma stood in it. Water touched her face, her scarf, her cross. Chukwuemeka came beside her with his injured arm held carefully. "You did it," he said. "No," she whispered. "We did." Aunty Mbeke did. Samuel did. Ngozi did. Everyone who spoke did. Mama Nneka wiped her tears with the edge of her wrapper, and God did not sleep. They returned to Okafor Estate under rain. Workers were waiting at the gates. Someone began singing a hymn of thanksgiving, and voices joined until the compound filled with sound. Ifeoma stepped out and saw the burnt barn, the kitchen where Jude had entered, and the people who had chosen not to surrender her. She sank to her knees, not from fear this time, but from the weight of being alive. Months passed before the court finished what the magistrate had begun. Chief Eze Oji was convicted. His plantation was taken from him. Compensation was ordered for many workers, though no amount could repay years stolen. The first two women came to Okafor Estate at the beginning of Harmattan. They stood at the same gate where Ifeoma had once stood, carrying cloth bags, dust and fear. "We heard," the older one said. "They said a woman from Chief Eze's place is here. They said this estate takes people." Ifeoma looked at Chukwuemeka, who had come quietly behind her. He did not answer for her. "Yes," she said, "this estate takes people, but not as property, as people." And so the work began. A room near the old yam barn was rebuilt into a shelter. Women came with stories they could not yet speak. Boys came too, their backs carrying plantation marks. Chukwuemeka paid wages honestly. Mama Nneka taught cooking and bargaining. Samuel kept records so no one's labor disappeared into false debts. Ifeoma taught the new arrivals the first lesson she had learnt. This door locks from inside. Some cried when they heard it. Chukwuemeka and Ifeoma did not rush love. There had been too much force in her life for love to come like demand. It came slowly, through evenings on the veranda, through him asking if he could sit beside her, through her choosing to tell one memory and keep another. It came when he never called her broken, only brave. One night, almost a year after the fire, they sat beneath the mango tree where she had once shouted that he could afford courage. "I was wrong," she said. "Courage is costly for everybody." He smiled softly. "And I was wrong too. I thought giving safety was enough, but you taught me that safety without dignity is another kind of cage." She looked at him then, really looked. the man who had stood outside the storehouse door, the man who had waited without turning patience into debt. "I love you," she said. The words surprised them both with their quietness. Chukwuemeka's eyes shone. "I love you too, Ifeoma." "I know," he laughed again, gently. "You know? I have been collecting evidence slowly, like you told me. And what is your conclusion?" "That your heart is stubborn, but good." Their wedding, when it came, was simple. No shouting wealth. Mama Nneka tied Ifeoma's gele with trembling hands. Pasonde stood near the gate in his best cap. Obina sang so badly that even the priest laughed. Women from the shelter danced until dust rose around their feet. Ifeoma walked toward Chukwuemeka, wearing a cream lace dress and Aunty Nbeke's silver cross. She walked not as property transferred from one man to another, but as a free woman choosing. Years later, children would run across Okafor Estate, chasing goats and stealing plantain chips from Mama Nneka's kitchen. Some were Ifeoma's. Some belonged to women who had found refuge there. All of them knew that this compound had become a place where no one was called death. Near the rebuilt barn, Ifeoma opened a small schoolroom. She taught reading, numbers and wages. Above the door, Chukwuemeka carved words she chose herself. "Nobody God created is for sale." Every year, on the day she arrived at the estate, Ifeoma stood by the gate at sunset. She would remember the girl with dusty feet and fear so deep, kindness looked dangerous. She would touch the silver cross and whisper thanks to Aunty Nbeke. One evening, her daughter asked, "Mama, why do you always stand here?" Ifeoma lifted the child into her arms and looked down the red earth road. "Because this is where my life began again." "Were you afraid?" "Yes." "But you entered." Ifeoma smiled, tears bright in her eyes. "Yes, my heart, I entered afraid." Chukwuemeka came to stand beside them, older now, with silver at his temples and peace in his face. Ifeoma took his hand. The past had not vanished. It had become scar, witness, warning, and purpose. Chief Eze's name faded into disgrace, but Aunty Nbeke's kindness lived in every woman who slept safely behind a door locked from inside. And Okafor Estate, once only a place of farms and walls, became a refuge, a home, a promise that survival was only the first breath, and after survival, if love and courage were patient enough, life could still become beautiful.